So I've been watching this series. It's on Netflix. It's called The Trust, and it's like they take a bunch of people from different backgrounds and they put all of them in one house. They're like 10 people or 11 people, and there's money. So like, let's say $100,000, and because there are 10 people, each one of them is going to get $10,000. So once you come into the program, you get like the 10 automatically. Now it's a trust, so if they vote someone off, then they get more money, right? But they go through these various tests and things that stirs the pot and makes people suspicious of people and whatnot, and they're trying so hard to stay together to make sure that at the end of everything they each go out with $10,000. But so far they've already voted 2 people off, so you can imagine. Anyway, I've been wanting to do this particular video for a long time, but then every single time I sit down to try and make this video, I don't know, it's like you realize that I can't directly look at the camera. Like my eyes keep darting everywhere, and I'm really trying hard to learn how to look at the camera. I feel like when I buy like a camera like the Canon or the Sony, and it has that flip thing, and then I'm able to see myself, then maybe I'll be able to look directly into the camera. I don't know. But anyway, today's video is a sit down video, and I want to have like a chit chat with you guys. So what happened was I put out that question tag thing on Instagram, and then I asked people to ask me a bunch of questions, and sincerely speaking, I've had a lot of interesting questions. But the good thing is I didn't get like random ass questions of what's your name, how old are you, and stuff like that. No, I didn't get those types of questions. I got like some really deep questions. Like it made me know the type of audience I have and the type of people I'm dealing with, and also gives me like good insights into the type of content that you guys like. So then I'm going to be reading the questions and then answering them, and we'll make this video together. It will answer a lot of your questions. So can we go ahead with it? So I got this, I don't know, should I mention who sends? No. I think that if I mention it, then the next time I ask you, people gonna ask me any question. So I got this question that asked me about how is it like leaving Ghana and transitioning to where I am, and if I plan on coming back. Being sincere, I've never ever pictured living my life or starting a family or anything outside of Ghana. I've always been based off the experiences I've had, because I've gotten to travel a lot, I have never seen myself building a life outside of Ghana. I'm more of a like stay in Ghana and then do vacation in different countries type of person. I've never had the notion of I'm going to pack my bags and leave and relocate from Ghana. Sometimes I realize that way of thinking is from a privileged point of view, because I don't know if you say suffer. My boyfriend tends to say that my life has been really easy and simple, and I haven't gone through majority of the things that people have gone through in Ghana. So then it doesn't intrigue me to want to leave the country that I was born in, and that things have come relatively easy to me throughout my life. But I don't know in relation to that. Leaving Ghana has been bittersweet for me, in that I really like what I do. Like, I really like what I do. And by the way, I do research. So I really like doing research, and leaving Ghana to do that has been really fulfilling for me. But also being uprooted from a system whereby I have grown to form like systems that I can lean on. So there's my family, there's my friends, there's my love life, there's everything that works cohesively well together to make me comfortable and happy. And taking myself out of that system to a new place and trying to integrate myself into that place and making new friends, reconnecting with old friends, trying to find your classmates and other people in a different country with a different culture and whatnot, hasn't been really easy. And it makes me appreciate what I have back home a lot, because per my vlogs that you've watched, you realize that I really like my community, that is my friends and family. I really love them, and being away from them is really straining on me. But so far it has been good. I've managed to sort of reconnect with some people, and also I have integrated myself sort of well enough up to this particular point. There are new faces that are going to come, because I know that I am going to go through different stages in my life, and there are so many different things that I have to come to terms with and deal with in terms of transitioning. But so far so good. It's been okay. Will I tell anyone to move? Number one, don't move here if you don't have anything that you're coming to do. Like, don't come with the intention of, I don't have a plan, I'm just getting up and leaving Ghana. I have no plan of what is going to sustain me or what's not. I'm just going to like airball it. Yes, I'm just going to come here with no plan, because this is supposedly a country flowing with milk and honey. Don't do that. Come with a plan. And if you also come as, I think if you come as a student, also have a plan and make sure that it's a comprehensive plan. If left to me, write out everything it is that you want to do and you want to achieve, and give yourself like a good roadmap if you're gonna come to this place. Because I know you're Ghanaian, you're used to, I don't know, for lack of a better expression, a system that doesn't work effectively, but here it does. So then don't come with the whole mentality that you have, and be open and allow yourself to be integrated into society, and you live sort of a fulfilling life. So my next question is, where do I see myself in 10 years? So I'm not a 10-year plan girl. The farthest I usually go is 5 years. So I don't plan, say, 10 years down the line, I want to see myself here or there or that, because I feel like life is really dynamic and you should leave room for something. So I'm usually a 5-year girly. So to answer that particular question, 5 years from now, it cuts into a question I have here that asks why I have left medicine and if I'll go back into the clinic. So before I answer the question of where do I see myself 5 years from now, let's go to the question of why did I leave the clinic or medicine, and if I would ever go back into the clinic. So backstory, I finished medical school in 2022 and I went directly into research. So as far back as I can remember, I've always wanted to do research. Like, I've been a who, why, what, when, how girl. Like, I just always want to know what is going on. And so I'm always digging to the root of a particular issue. So for me, research was like is and has always been the way to go in terms of these particular things. So when the opportunity came, I just went for it. When the opportunity came, I just went for it. It wasn't something I had to think twice about or whatnot. And I knew that God was going to open that door for me, regardless of what it is. So then, when I finished undergrad and I had to go to medical school, and I even fought the idea of going to medical school and whatnot, I still knew that in the long run, I would end up doing research. I probably couldn't have pointed and said I would be here, as in the NIH doing research, but I knew for sure that I was going to do research, because every single thing that I've done along the way to get to this particular point has been research focused. I remember I did my very first internship in Max Planck Institute in Germany. I came back, I did other forms of research in different places. My thesis I wrote for my first undergrad degree got published. I got the opportunity to move to, there's a research facility in Kumasi, KCCSR or something like that. I got the opportunity to go there, but then I didn't go. I came back, went back to Germany to do some work in terms of infectious diseases, same research, did some non-profit, same research, and then now here. So like, I've always known that the route that I was going to take was going to be the research route. And so I feel like everything worked together to bring me to that particular point. Now, I have always known that, and when the opportunity came, I jumped at it and I took it. So I always give myself the excuse that I left the clinic because patients will or tell lies, like they don't give the clear story because of the cultural aspect and how cultural, religious, and so many stigmatizing aspects of their life based on the community that they grew up in, that they don't tell the whole truth of a situation, and so they don't give the clear picture to the doctor. And so I didn't want to deal with patients in relation to that, because it felt like because they feared being judged, they didn't give the whole story. And I had a couple of experiences in terms of that, which I really didn't like. And so it disenchanted me from the experience of clinical work. So then I knew that I wasn't going to be in the clinic for long. So then when the opportunity came for me to leave the clinic, I took the opportunity to leave the clinic and to do pure research. Now, that being said, I am a great proponent of never say never. So I never tell anyone that I will never go back into the clinic, because at the grassroots of everything is my care and passion for making sure that people live a good, purposeful, healthy life. And so if I get to the point whereby I can answer my hows and whys and when and whats and whys and what's not, then I could go back into the clinic. And that ties into the next question, where someone asks me what it is that I want to practice, or the type of medicine I want to practice. Off the top of my head, because I've been scarred by these experiences, I would tell anybody and everybody that I want to go into emergency medicine, whereby because it is in a rush, quick, whatever situation, people don't in my opinion, that is, people don't take the opportunity to tell lies. Like, it's a life or death situation, so you want your life, so you're going to tell me the truth. That's how I perceive it to be. If I don't do emergency medicine, then I'm going to do anesthesiology. Yes, one of these two things. So based off of that, I need to go back into the clinic and I need to specialize. So I never say never, in that I know that at a point in time I would want to specialize. Now, coming back to the question of 5 years time. So in 5 years time, I see myself, one, having finished grad school, and then also almost at the tail end of residency in one of these two things. So basically that. Yeah. Every time I talk about grad school, it's really interesting to me, because I am going to actually do a separate video that talks about my grad school journey. And I have news for you guys. Yes, I would be going to grad school. I would be going to grad school, and it's a whole separate video, so that's completely different. So then someone also asked me, what motivated you to pursue a career in medicine? I feel like I've already told that story. And how does that drive your approach to content creation? Okay, so I feel like I just keep repeating myself because of these types of questions that people asked. Medicine wasn't my in all, do all, be all sort of thing for me, because I knew research was that for me. And so I know this will burst your bubble, and that everybody always envisions or sees like the practice of medicine, as in clinical medicine, as the be all, do all for them. But it has never been that for me. I don't know why. So yeah, it was never that for me. But I did pursue a career in medicine, and I moved into, or I'm moving into, content creation, in that I want to give a better expression to a good work-life balance. People usually have this notion that medical doctors or people that have really serious professions, corporate, or like those sorts of career paths, shouldn't have like a good balance of work and life, in that a social life. But then I believe the opposite of it. I think that we are multifaceted, and we should be able to express every aspect of ourselves and give like good expression to them, and good time and good attention to all those aspects of our lives, for us to have a good balanced life. If one aspect of your life is suffering, it is because you're giving too much attention to one particular aspect. So then the other aspect is suffering because of that. But if you're able to balance the two of them, then you live a really fulfilling life. Because you can't pick, because if you pick career, for example, your children are going to suffer, because the way you raise your children, you're not going to have enough time to raise your children and all those things. So I feel like the way I like to approach content creation is by making sure that the whole message of having a good balance of work life and social life comes across clearly. That's how I approach it. How do you think your medical and research background influences your perspective on travel and lifestyle? I'm a researcher at heart, so then it makes me a curious person to begin with. So anytime I travel or I want to do anything in relation to lifestyle or how I live my life, it's from a perspective of curiosity. I always want to know what is going on. I want to understand why people are behaving in this particular manner, or they believe this particular thing. So that's how I approach travel and lifestyle. And based off of that, I like to travel to experience these new things and to have good in-depth understanding of it. So that's how my background from research and medicine plays into that, because like I'm the curious cat. I just want to know why, and that is the basis of research. Why is this happening? What is going on? All those things. So then that's how travel and lifestyle, or my background in research, actually influences my perspective on travel and lifestyle. I'm always going to dig in and find out why. Someone says that, how do you envision your content changing or evolving? My content is definitely going to change. It's going to evolve, because as I grow and experience things, I'm going to change and I'm also going to evolve. So then I know that that is going to happen. I think that at a point in time, it's going to be, my content is going to be really education heavy, based off of the phase I'm about to enter in terms of how I see this year going. So I know it's going to evolve from more of the lifestyle to more of educational content. But that aside, also I also realized that based off of how my year has been planned so far, to somewhere in the middle of the year, because I live my year every night, I sort of divide the year into the quarters, and then I live each quarter like it's a whole year, sort of. So then based off of how I see the next 2 quarters, or the first and second quarter of the year being, it has a substantial amount of travel in it, and so I think I would be able to give a fair representation of travel and education mixed together, so that you see how the life of someone who is into research or research heavy goes like, and the transition into different aspects of my life. Basically that. Says, which country or place haven't you visited yet, but it's at the top of your list, and why? So I don't know why, but I think I want, okay, it's not I think I want to, I know that I want to go to a country in Asia. Now, I happen to, at this point in time, have a lot of Indian friends, but then recently the news I've been hearing about India is disabusing my mind of going to India. But if anything, I want to go to a country in Asia, and I've been thinking about Japan a lot. I don't know if it's because of anime, because I used to watch a lot of anime, and then also because my partner likes to watch anime a lot. So I've been thinking of Japan, Kyoto. Like, I have this whole picture in my head of how I am like the ideal Kyoto girl. Yeah, so then that is a place I want to visit. I'm looking for other questions are coming, because a lot of the questions people ask me has to do with my partner. But then, in as much as I am a girl who doesn't, or have become a girl who doesn't hide their partner, because I believe that life has to be lived in full expression. And so if you have that whole thing of, well, you are afraid of how people are going to look at your life and say, well, it didn't work out. There are so many things that don't work out, and we move past it, we live and we learn. So I have gotten to a point in my life where I disabused my mind off of that and decided I was going to live in full expression of everything. So I'm not going to hide my partner and do that whole, you see his arm, you see his leg, you see his this, you see his that, you see his hair line and those things, and you don't know who the person is. Like, it's all 2020. Let's leave it in that year. Yeah. So all the people that ask me questions about my partner, please, when he tells me that he's ready to be exposed completely, that you know everything about him, I'll answer all your questions. Okay, thank you. Hey, what you really wanted to do, you want to know a lot of things about him, pal. That's very interesting. Huh. Someone asked me, what role does God play in my life? I feel like this is the best question anybody could have asked me. I am an unapologetic Jesus girl. Like, if I should sit back and tell you all the things and the ways I have seen God express himself to me in my life, you would be amazed and shocked by it. Because in as much as I can say that I have clear insight as to what I want to be and the ways in which I want to go and the things I want to do, I would also tell you that there's no way I would be here any day, anytime. There's no way I'll be here if it wasn't for God. Now, take this particular scenario of how I ended up here. Backtrack to when I had finished my first degree and I had accepted to go to medical school, or said that okay, I would go to medical school. And then I remember in my second year of medical school, right, I had this pour out, like I had a really all open conversation with one of my lecturers, and he was asking me what it is that I want to do and what not. And I said I wanted to be a computational biologist, which I am becoming, by the way, because I am being, or whatever I do here is to become a computational biologist. So I remember I told him that I wanted to be a computational biologist, and he asked me what it was and whatnot, and I took my time and I explained it to him, and he laughed at me. Like, I remember that day so clearly because I was pained and I was hit by that, because it felt like my dream or my idea had been invalidated. And I remember weeks after I had had that conversation with him, he walked into class and then he asked people what it is that he wanted to do with their lives and whatnot. And people, like, at that point in time, people were like, oh, they want to be this cardiologist, they want to be this, that, so many different things. And then it got to my turn, and then he asked, he didn't even give me he didn't even ask me. He just said what it is that I wanted to be. And then he laughed about it again in class in front of people, and my classmates joined to laugh, right? I was really hurt by it, but I brushed it off. Like, I laughed it off along with them and shook my head. But that pain stayed with me, and every time I would see him, I would feel the sting of that pain, of me being open and vulnerable and mentioning the things I wanted to do and being laughed at. And I remember in 5th year, I spoke with my friend Ella. Now, Ella and I sat together through 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year. So to the end of, we sat together and become the best of friends. So I remember in 5th year, this man walked into class again, but he had taught me throughout the previous years. So he walks into the class again, and I remember turning to Ella and telling Ella that I don't know why I cannot get that sting out of my heart, and that this and this and that is what had happened. And what struck me in that moment was that Ella couldn't remember what had happened, but it had stayed with me. And so I realized that I was carrying the burden of that pain, but I was so sure that he couldn't. Based off of Ella's reaction, I was so sure that he, the lecturer, couldn't even remember that he had done that. So I let go of it at that point in time. And I remember that it was God that was showing me that particular thing, so I let go of it. But I also carried the conviction of making sure that I proved that it wasn't just my imagination or the fact that I was daydreaming or dreaming beyond what I could achieve as a person. I made sure that I carried that burden of making sure that whatever it is that I'd opened my mouth to say would come into fruition, because I understood that in my heart that I had God inside me, and that out of the abundance of my heart, my mouth had spoken, and that it was something that was going to come into fruition. So I made sure that I carried that burden with me. So in everything I would do and say, it was unwavering that I was going to do computational stuff. It didn't matter what it is that you would tell me. If at a point in time I felt like I wanted to become maybe a cardiologist, I would tell you that I would do some research aspect where I'll be a computational cardiologist or something of a sort. I just knew that I would do something in relation to computation. Okay. So then I remember that I was in Germany with my best friend, and the opportunity came for me to do research, and it was towards the tail end of the year 2021 that I was in Germany with my best friend, and I had been talking to him about this, and this is something that he knows completely well. And so we had been talking about it, and I remember telling him that I had met somebody, met someone online that I knew for sure, because at that point in time I had a conviction in my spirit that it was that particular person that was going to help me in relation to that. Now, for that particular story, another of my friends come in. So I have a friend, Jeffrey, and Jeffrey is really good at writing all these things on social media. It's a thing of you're thinking it, but then he has the best way of wording it. Okay. So then he has a lot of people that understand his humor and whatnot. So he had written something on Twitter, and as usual, when they get on Twitter, Instagram is going to pick up all these, they're going to take a picture of it and post on their Instagram and whatnot. And I had come across this particular person because he had gone and given a speech at my cousin's school and whatnot, and it was like a big deal. And this was somebody that had gone to Ivy League colleges and whatnot. So then this was like a really big deal person. So then the person had gone and given, and so I had started following the person on Instagram, and I'd been looking for a way to interact with this particular person because I just felt within me that this particular person was gonna help me in a particular way, but I just didn't know how. So then my friend's thing that he had written on Twitter, this person had taken a picture of it and it was posted on their Instagram. And I remember telling the person that, oh, this is my friend, he's Jeffrey, he's in my class and whatnot. And that is how the conversation between I and that person began to happen. So then we struck up a conversation based off of what my friend had written on Twitter then, which had come to Instagram. And I remember that as weeks went by and whatnot, I got to a point whereby God was like, okay, this is the opportune time to ask. So then I remember asking the person that, well, I've been looking into studying things in relation to computation, but I do not know the way to go about it, and I don't know the way to get into the whole system. And that I had looked and searched and I couldn't find anybody. So then if there was any way this person could introduce me to somebody, I would be really interested, like really happy about it, or I would really like the opportunity to learn from someone. So then this person just types an answer of okay. Now within me, I took it as okay. And I remember growing up, I had been a very impatient child. Like, I was not a child whereby if I asked you for something and you just gave me an answer of okay, I would be fine. I really wanted to know what your decision was. But for some reason, that particular okay on that particular day, I just took the okay and ran with it. I was like, no problem. I just let it be and let it go. So that was towards the end of the year. So I remember I did Christmas with my best friend in Germany, whatnot, and then I came back to Ghana because that was over and I'd finished my electives, and I came back to Ghana in January. And I remember that January, another friend of mine, like I tell you, God puts people in your life, which is really interesting. Another friend of mine who I had just met introduced me to NSPPD, and I remember that Pastor Jerry had said that we should we should get a book, like a journal or something, and then we should write out the things that we wanted for the year. So then I took my journal and I sat and I wrote. So I wrote all the things I wanted for the year, and then he told us that we were going to pray. So we started to pray and whatnot. And I remember so clearly that it was the second or third day of that particular year. Yeah, I may be wrong, but it was somewhere early in that year. And this particular person comes back to me and says that I have found someone for you, and even goes ahead to put us on an email, and we have a wonderful conversation. And that particular conversation down the line leads me to coming here to the US to be in the NIH. I will never ever forget that particular journey, because I realized that it didn't matter, like from undergrad into medical school and all through, that there were so many little small events that led me to the point that I am at right now. And I'll tell you another story when I do another video about the news I have for you, which will show you how God works in various mysterious ways, and that every single thing that happens in your life is all in the grand scheme of things to bring you to the end that God wants you to be at. Yeah, I feel like I have talked a lot in this sit down, and I have answered a lot of questions. The only thing I can tell you is that pray, because for me it is arrogant and rude to God to not talk to him. Yes, that is all I can say. Well, this has been really interesting to do. I've struggled to make this particular video for a long time, since it's really weird for me to sit and talk. But then I feel like as time goes on, I'll get used to it. And please feel free and share with me how you feel about the sit down videos and the conversations we are going to be having. Yeah, so it's bye from me, and I hope you were able to learn something, and be kind enough to tell me the type of content that you want me to be putting out, and let me know if you really like these sit down videos, because I really feel like kindred spirits with you as I am sharing my life with you. Bye. Oh, thank you for the questions. Bye.